Hi, Charles. Thanks for joining. How are you? Appreciate you being here. Hey, KK. I'm really glad you guys are jumping on. Robin Lucas, William McDaniels. I'm just happy to see you guys here. I had an experience on my last live where I got like completely inundated with Indonesians that didn't speak English. And Katie and Rick, man, I'm just so glad to see you guys. Stephanie, NYOB, Copper Bear, man, I'm just really glad to see you guys here. iPen, wow, Robbie Rob, what is it? There's a New Banks, just Corinne, Whiskey Tango Foxtrot. Sounds like you dance. I love that. Beverly, let's see who else. Ronnie McGick, White Orchid, Annie. I'm just really glad you guys are here. I was trying to talk about something on my last live that didn't go well. And so actually what happened, it was promoted. And so I got a lot of Indonesians on my live and none of them spoke English. And I think this message is mainly for people that can understand what I'm going to say. Joe and Lorraine and Jack and PJ, Christelle, Table, Linder. So I realized that one of the obligations that I have as in my industry right now and what I'm doing is to inform people. And hey, Rick and Juliana, Joe, Weaver 199. And one of the things that I think that I haven't done well is actually talk about exactly what I'm doing. Kelly, what is it? H-I-N Sandy, his son Narasa, whatever. Cortin, rock that ponytail. I don't think I've done a very good job of explaining what I'm doing and why I'm even here in Indonesia. It's kind of an interesting journey for me, and I actually think that some people want to co-host with me, and I actually don't understand what will happen if I do invite them in to me, and so I appreciate you guys being here because whether you stay or not, what I'm going to do is tell you why I'm here in Indonesia. And it has to do with the peacock chair makers in the rattan industry. So I want to acknowledge everybody, PJ, Linda, Springle, Stella, all you guys, D Green, Moliette, Tamara Butcher. I want to acknowledge all you guys that are joining. So the reason why I'm here is actually, I didn't know in the beginning. I just knew that I wanted to create a business. And I was actually a homemaker for some 30 years, and I actually almost died. And during that period of time, I hate to say this, but I actually watched the people in my life accept the fact that I was going to die. And in that time period, and it was probably like 2 years that I was watching the people closest to me coming and going, and maybe not even coming. They weren't even coming around me. And what I noticed was, first off, like my complete helplessness. Like I couldn't do anything that I used to do. I couldn't serve them. I couldn't clean the house. I couldn't do anything for them. And I was completely dependent on them for just eating. And as I actually laid in bed for months and watched my family pretty much get on with their lives. And in some respects, it felt like they were accepting the fact that I was going to die. And then one day, my son came home with a flyer from school, and it was an invitation to go roller skating at a roller rink. And back in the day, I used to skate a lot, and I thought, okay, I'm gonna go. And there was a lot of pressure on me to go, because he knew it was something that I really loved to do, and he talked me into it. So that was like the beginning, actually, of my recovery, was that I started skating. And so what ended up happening was I didn't die. I didn't die. And then because I was going to live, and I seemed to be overcoming the illness that I had, some things started happening. But during the time that I was really sick in bed, what I saw was that my family was going to be completely okay if I died. And I started actually imagining my husband being married to somebody else, and what my children's lives would be without me there. And it was a completely helpless feeling that I was having watching this. There was nothing I could do except accept it. And so, because I was so sick and really, really helpless, I had to accept the reality. And in fact, I was welcoming death. And I gotta be honest with you, even at times right now, I would love to die. Like, I would rather be dead than alive. But that's not what happened. What ended up happening was I started skating, and I really, really, really started to get my strength back. And then from that, I started to create more, I don't know, I was just kind of like on this weird journey of like just figuring out my life all over again, and recognizing that the way people felt about me had changed. Like, for example, when I was really, really sick, I got addicted to Oxy. And so, friggin', I was not okay. And it was just part of the protocol that I was on, the medication that I was on. And so, you know, I was cut out of a lot of things because of my physical and mental condition. But even in that state, I recognized that there was an aspect of me that was getting to see how people were going to respond to me living or dying, or just like the aspect of my condition, like whether I was capable of coherent thought or anything like that. I mean, it was like all of a sudden I went from 10 to 0 in the way of value. And I saw that, I saw it like in my church community. I saw it everywhere, and I got a serious label on me. And then what I saw was just a lack of interest in me altogether, which I guess is understandable. It just was. But from my perspective, I got to a point where I felt very, very, very low about myself. And so when the path opened up for me to start my business, I found myself in Indonesia working with peacock chair makers. I went to all the trade shows in the US and in Singapore, in the Philippines, and Indonesia. And I thought, I'm just going to follow this path and see where it goes. And, one thing led to another, and I was on the front lines of what was going on with the people here. And, if you know anything about Indonesia, the people here are, it's a third world country. And what I discovered was that the makers that I was, or the factories that I was buying from, the workers were getting $3.50 a day for an 8-hour day. And I remember going into these factories and seeing what was going on, and I was like, wow, this sucks. And so what ended up happening was I thought that I was going to be able to like collaborate with them and create new designs on the peacock chairs, but that's not what they wanted. They just wanted an order from me that was equivalent to a full container. And so I did. I ordered my first container. I bought some chairs, and I had my first container come into the US, and my second customer was Jimmy Fallon. And it was just kind of like that for me. Like from that point on, I started attracting these really interesting buyers. And, you know, I really honestly took those events, those series of events, as like a sign that I was on the right path. And then not only that, but my interaction with the prop manager from NBC, I told him, wow, this is awesome. This is my first container. This is what I'm doing. And, he didn't say a lot. But what happened was on that order for the NBC, and the Fallon Tonight Show is what it was. I discovered on the night before that I was supposed to deliver the chairs that there was a break in one of the main frames of the chair. And I was so disappointed, because I had already been on the front lines in Indonesia seeing what was going on, wondering how I was going to make a change, and then completely shocked when I had the furniture get to the US and to discover that like the pieces weren't okay, especially these two pieces that were going to go to NBC for the Tonight Show. And so at the time I told my 14-year-old son, I have 7 children and he's my youngest, and I told him, hey, this happened, what should I do? And it was the morning of. The night before, I had done a repair with a piece of leather and some Gorilla Glue on the brake, and it was going to be fine. But I still felt like out of integrity, I needed to tell NBC what was going on. And so my son said that morning, he's like, Mom, you have to tell them. So I went in, got a shower, and while I was getting my shower, I knew exactly, the letter came to my mind exactly what I was going to say. So I emailed the prop manager and I said, hey, here's some photos of what happened, and here's the fix. And he said, that's fine, when will you be here? I was completely blown away. So I loaded up the chairs and I drove myself from New Jersey to the Bronx. Dropped the chairs off, and then almost 8 months later, probably 6 to 8 months later, I got an email from the prop manager, and he said, hey, your chairs are going to air tonight on Fallon. And I was like, oh my gosh, thank you so much for letting me know that. So I went ahead and, I let everybody know that this is what was happening, and kind of one thing led to another, and I went to the High Point show with my collection. I took orders, and it wasn't a lot of orders though. Most of the buyers at the show just wanted 2 chairs, honestly, and they just mainly wanted to buy all my samples. But anyway, so I took orders, went back to Indonesia and started working on all these orders. And then I got caught up in the whole pandemic and ended up staying in Indonesia for 9 months during COVID. Over the course of almost 8 years now, I've lived in Indonesia for 4, and then half the time in the US. But what happened was the choice to stay in Indonesia was based on what happened to me when I got sick, which was I didn't matter. My position in what was going on didn't matter anymore. And I felt like I had more value in what I was doing with my business. So I chose to stay in Indonesia. And throughout the time that I've been here, I have worked very closely with the makers. And I actually have bought from all of the peacock chair makers their product in hopes that I could somehow influence their production to a higher quality, and then influence what the actual makers were going to make, what their salary was going to be. But I saw that wasn't the case. That one, I wasn't going to get the quality made that I wanted, and then two, that there was no way that the money that I paid, even if I paid them more money, was going to trickle down to the makers. So at that point, I decided to open my first studio. From that, I opened 2 studios and a showroom, and then another showroom in Bali. And I continued to buy from all the makers because I wanted to be their agent, their ambassador. But what ended up happening was, like, I had this incredible vision on how to help the makers actually to actually get the money on what they were doing. And the way that I saw it was that we, meaning my team of makers, was going to take the quality that they were making and we were going to improve it. And not only that, but we were going to take some really, really epic styles that I was finding, and that I wanted to reproduce. And so that's what we started doing. And if you actually look at, my work, you'll see that the work that we've done is amazing and beautiful, and it's standout and expensive. And so that was the vision, is to help the maker to create a space where, one, they would feel safe in collaborating on a higher quality, because, in a factory setting, they're not paid to think. They're paid to do one aspect of the job, and that's it. And so I was actually disappointed by that, because I thought for sure that as peacock chair makers, they were going to be able to get with me, and that we were going to be able to create all this amazing stuff. But the way that production works is, there's so much need here that they will take a production and they will break it down into 20 pieces, so everybody gets a piece of the pie. But what happens in that production is that people that basically fuck it up can hide. And this is what I found in my production, was that there were people that were working in my production that were careless and that were hiding. And so this was a repeated action that was going on, and I wasn't really knowing how to fix it. Even like the people that I had hired to manage it, they weren't handling it. They weren't taking care of it. It was being allowed to happen. And so this morning I had a very, very strong impression. And honestly, like, my impression has, like, the guidance that I've gotten throughout my whole journey with the mission and vision and purpose of Homevestures has been to increase the quality of the making here, so ultimately we can stand in a ready position in this position that the world is in on plastics, to be ready to iterate and to make in rattan. So because rattan is a hardwood, and 80% of it grows in Indonesia, but the quality of the craftsmanship in the work is it's been low. And so, and the vigilance that I've had to place on the production has been daunting, to say the least. It's been daunting. And something happened this morning. I feel like I need to go back for a minute, though, about the actual vision of why it was so important to bring the quality up. First off, to build trust back in the industry so that buyers could begin to trust that there was going to be a group that was going to follow through with making a really high quality product. The other thing was to encourage young makers to get involved so that they could bring honor to the craft, and to bring this whole swab out of this $3.50 salary, which is what I did for my makers. So my makers went, I would have to say that they were like 8 times that. And you have to realize, like, if you look at your salary, and if you were to make your salary 8 times what it is, that's significant. And so, you know, people can only be brought up by degrees. You can't just give them laterally a salary that is relevant in one place and then make it relevant in another. It doesn't work like that. So I just went up as high as I felt like was logical for what we were doing. And then I showcased the makers and I showed their work, and honestly, like, it was mostly on them, but it was me busting my ass over here. And not only that, but it took the rupture on my family even to a whole other level. Like, you know, as far as me being at a place where, you know, they could see that if I died, they were kind of in that acceptance mode. And so once I came to Indonesia, it was like, oh yeah, we'll never see her again. And so it was just this whole other level of rupture in my family, just in relationships and financial, blah, 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 on and on. But I was going to do it because I was shown actually how to bring this up. And I was shown basically where the people were in my lives as it related to me, and that they were going to get on with their stuff and what they wanted, and that I wasn't really going to be included in it, any of it. And in fact, because of the condition that I was in, I wasn't even like desirable to hang out with. So it was a very lonely, dark place for me, and this entire time has been kind of like that too. So, in bringing the quality up, what we were able to do is to show all of the makers, all of the factories and stuff, who I gave them a chance to make what we were going to make. Before we started any project, I would have meetings with all these factory and contractors and stuff like that, and say, hey, you want to make this with me? And they would say yes, and they would bail, or they would take my money and go on a 3-month hiatus, or they would just say no. And so that's when I opened up my own studios and we started making. And what ended up happening was our product just ended up exceeding everybody's. And now, if you can only imagine what that means in this industry of makers, like as far as the big factory, like workshops, like the big workshops, the main ones. And so now all of a sudden I'm coming in as a threat to them. But the truth is, like, I've bought hundreds of their chairs because I wanted to I wanted to represent that quality for like mainstream, because we could price it for mainstream. And then while doing that, I wanted to show a higher quality for a higher end market, which is what we did. But what ended up happening is that they just ended up wanting to try and make what we were making and at a lower quality and at a cheaper price. And so, you know, people, buyers and stuff were knowing them and seeing my work with you know, this small group of makers, would take what we were making and go to these other makers and go, hey, we want this. And of course, they're going to come in at a significantly lower price. But what the buyer didn't know is that they were going to get a significantly lower quality too. And so, and there's nothing you can do about that. So if you are a buyer and you see the quality that Homevestures make and you send that image to one of these other workshops and say, hey, will you make this for me? They'll say yes. You'll send a deposit, but what you will get will look completely different. But what they see is it's similar, and that's close enough, and that's good enough. But for me, like I just, like if I were a buyer and that happened to me, which it does, I'm like, no way. But here's the thing is, once you put that money out, it's gone. You know, they take that money, they distribute it throughout the people that are working for them, and it's spent. So you can't recoup your investment because it's gone. Not only that, but there's no way that you're going to get that money even if you come here. You're not going to get it. And so I saw my position like weird. You know, here I am trying to represent them, but they're actually pulling all this bullshit. And then I've got the buyers who want to take the quality that we're making, go to this lower quality, and try to get what we're doing for this lower price. And all that's accomplishing is it's keeping those makers at this very low salary of $3.50 a day, which is what the buyers don't understand. And the actual dial, the degree on this is so small for a better quality. The money on it is not a lot, but it's enough for the makers to be motivated, and but not for me. Like, I'm not motivated by that kind of little bit of more money on a production to get a better quality. And so, you know, if I spend 8 months making a chair, then it becomes, you know, it's a very expensive item. But if I spend 8 months making a chair, and then I can take that one chair and then go to all the workshops and say, hey, we've got an order for a hotel, and they know me, and I've bought from them, and they understand now the quality that we are achieving, and let's go in with our team and just help bring the quality up of your workshop and your workshop and your workshop and your workshop. Then the entire industry standard comes up for not a lot of money. And then what ends up happening is the end customer gets a better quality, and we are getting to influence what the actual makers are making, because we're coming in with our team of people, we're managing the money, and we are, you know, teaching new skills, and we're making sure that the quality is like this. But after hearing the vision of this, they just got it in their minds that they didn't need me anymore. My team saw that. They're like, oh, we don't need you anymore. We don't need you anymore. In fact, we can run this to the ground, and as soon as you quit, we're going to pick up the pieces of all what we've built with you, and we're going to do it. And I see that now. This is what's happened. And I swear I would not have known, but this was a gift to me this morning. And I was just like, wow, I see it now. Because without me, what that means is they think they're going to make more money. They think that they're going to be able to step into this this collection and just make it and carry out whatever. And maybe they can, but here's the thing: is anybody that wants to undermine an operation in that way, I just don't think that they have the greater whole at heart. And because honestly, like, these have just been downloads that come to me, because when stuff happens, I just like basically go into like cocoon mode and say, okay, what's going on? What is really going on? And where I am and how my business is going is like, I have to really trust what messages that I'm getting. And maybe this is one of the things that is important for you to know as a business owner too, especially as a founder and a visionary, is that you hold the vision. And that's the thing about me, is like, I hold the vision. And it just is. Like, I don't even know how to get away from that. It just is. So I realized, like, some of the motivation that they had for wanting to completely run it to the ground so that I would quit and lose all of my investment and just fail. And I'm not trying to blame it. I'm just saying that's actually what's happened. Is because, one, the people that were actually in charge of my business would then have the power. And if they have no stature or really small power in an industry, and then all of a sudden they see an opportunity where they can have all the power, that's very motivating for somebody who has nothing, And I think what's really sad about it is like all the people that onboarded with this thought process, like, and were silenced in it. Sorry. Can you hear me if I keep talking? It's so loud. Can you hear me? A lot. Chairs are a lot. But, you know, if you've got money, then it's not a lot. It's not. But, okay, now I can finish what I'm saying. And so, you know, the motivation for them is, gosh, it's varied. But here's the thing that I find very interesting, and I think this is something that we're facing in our world, and especially like men, but it doesn't even matter. I'm sure that there are people that work with me and that have been on my production that didn't like the betrayal and didn't want it, but they didn't have a choice. They couldn't talk about it. What is this? Oh, she only provides chairs to the bougie and the makers of what, Floby? I don't even know what that is. And see, that's the other thing is like, I brought in like freaking 600 chairs to sell to mainstream, but I mean, it's like $600 just to ship one chair. And then the risk on it is really, really big. So if I ship a chair to you and it goes into some sort of a shipping distribution warehouse or something like that, and they damage it, then we can only recoup 50% of the money. And actually, this is what happened on my second container. There were so many damages, and the shipping company just came in and freaking took all the money. And so I was trying to explain all of this to mainstream, that, you know, we wanted to consolidate orders so that because it was really legitimately my husband and my sons that were making the drives back and forth across the US to deliver these chairs. And you can only imagine, you know, delivering one chair, it's not going to work. And so the customers were just pissed off at the cost of shipping. And then, you know, it would get there, it was damaged, and then they would come back to me when shipping is a whole different business, you know. But yet, I'm responsible in some way for the way the shipping company handled the merchandise. Yeah. Well, actually, let me finish what I'm saying, all right? I don't know. I don't know if I am, actually. So, so anyway, this morning, you know, like everything came in after doing this for 8 years and just all the puzzle pieces just landing, I realized what had happened and that there was kind of like this coalition that was formed within my team. And it was headed by people that I had given power to, and you know, the threat to the people on my team was that they would lose their job, and that could not happen. I don't know. I really don't know if I am, but so the fear of losing the job was greater than standing up and being honest and having integrity. So there was just this web that was being spun, and it was so what's interesting is like this last order that brought me back, and I didn't want to come back. But I got an order and I thought, okay, I'm going to try this one more time. And this last order that came in was perfect for just laying that first fucking card out. Because it was really small and the chair that we were making was very common. And, you know, the customer was right for me being able to come back, meaning it was worth it for me. I could see that I was going to be able to do what I needed to do, but the whole project was completely undermined. And then I saw that it was intentionally done, and for the purpose of me resigning my position so that they could come in and take over. And you know, when I got that message this morning, and it was just purely discernment, I thought, I see it now. I see what's going on. And you know, there were people that were trying to tell me. One of the people that wanted to tell me actually passed away, and it was a woman. And then another person wanted to tell me, but they quit. And so, like, everybody was silenced. And so one of the things that I now recognize as first signs of betrayal is this. That one, you're going to notice that there's carelessness, okay? So it doesn't even matter, like, if it's in a marriage or a business. The first thing that you're going to see in betrayal is that there's going to be carelessness, and it will get extreme. And the problem with that carelessness is, like, you think that you can just go in and teach and reteach and reteach, but that is not what's going on, all right? Anybody that is being careless in your business is because they have some other motive. And so this is the first sign that was given to me, but oops, here, let me show you. Let me show you some of my furniture. There's just a lot of chairs. These are just some of the chairs. I have a whole other collection. A lot of these are the native chairs. Some of them are not. This is one that I made with one of the makers, and another one that I made. So anyway, if you go on my Instagram or my TikTok, you'll see my really great stuff. So I kind of lost my place now. Oh, okay, yeah. So what I want to say is, like, one of the first signs of betrayal is carelessness. And you know, once you, like, have conversations over and over and over again with these individuals that are being careless in your business, you're gonna, I mean, because see, here's kind of what we see when we're as business owners, and maybe somebody that has a vision, is we know that the buck stops with us. The bottom line is us. No, I'm in Indonesia. And so we know, as a business owner, I design and craft them with, and I'm contracting. So I became like this ambassador for the makers overall. And, you know, I stood in this position of representing them, but they didn't get my back on that position. They threw me under the bus. And it was because they saw the vision that I have and just figured, oh, we do not need her. Let me see here. You contract the work and you pay $600 a chair to import. No. I have to buy a whole container. I have to ship a whole container. You as a customer, like, my warehouse is in Arizona, and I've got thousand square feet of product there. I just did the Las Vegas market at the end of July. And so, you know, my position, I felt, was to build trust with the makers and then to build trust in the industry. So the way that I saw myself as building trust with the makers was to buy from them, regardless of kind of what they were making. Just show them that I was going to be a viable resource for them. And so that's what I did. I bought pretty much from every single maker that crossed my path, to the tune of 6,000 square feet of warehouse goods right now in Arizona. And when I went back to the US, COVID was still ending. My family wasn't speaking to me, and I knew that I had to patch things up with them. So during that time that I was staying in the US is where things really got bad. And anyway, so then when I came back and I had this one order that's perfect because it was easy, and the only thing we were looking to do was to make a new quality on this recognizable model. Okay, it's a model that everybody has seen if anybody knows anything about peacock chairs, okay? And so it was one of the easiest projects, but I'm telling you, it was so botched. And the way that everything was going down, I just was like, what the I don't understand this. I don't understand why this is happening. You know, I've been working with you guys nearly 8 years now, and you're doing this. And then what I realized was they want me to quit. They want me to quit because they want to step in and say, she's no longer doing this, but we are now. And it, you know, it wouldn't have been so, I mean, I can see where like the idea, like the ego part would say, wow, you can't do this without me. It's not like that for me. What it is the whole process of undermining the whole thing to the point of literally driving it into the ground so that this person could step in and become the power in it. And what it would do for that person, I mean, what it would do for their reputation in the industry, and just people weren't telling me. I mean, even like the big workshops, they know what's going on, but they were not telling me this. And it's okay though, because you know, I was given a vision, and it didn't come from man. It came from pure intent and inspiration. And it came from me seeing with my own eyes what was going on with the makers and wanting to impact the industry, you know, these people. But then what actually began to develop is like this whole problem with plastic. It was like, I wanted people to know that my business is not just about making peacock chairs. It's about developing a team that can make a really, really great product, and to make products that we could replace, you know, plastic. So, and we're not, you know, I'm telling you, like, the industry is not ready for that. The skill is not up to snuff. And so I realized that if I could take this one item, the peacock chair, which is iconic, you know, it has a mystique. It originated in a prison in the Philippines. It was made by a woman who allegedly killed her husband My warehouses are in Arizona, in a town with like 11 prison compounds, which I didn't even know until after we moved into the warehouse. I mean, there's just been and I've worked with inmates for 20 years on furniture projects, and so it's just more and more and more and more. So all of this is like, all these dots are connecting on just like this long life experience into this application of in an industry where, you know, I'm now in this position where I could potentially help, you know, build systems that would replace a lot of plastics in the home. And so, yes, the focus is peacock chairs, because if we can make a great peacock chair, then I'm sure we could make a great lunchbox or something else, you know. And it's just all about helping the people to see the benefits of, you know, taking pride in their work. And that was another thing, is like, since I saw that none of the young people wanted to enter this industry, and in fact, we're discouraged from it because there's no money in harvesting. And this is another thing that I learned when I went to West Sumatra. I met with the Minister of Forestry, sat in his office with his entire panel, you know, and just explained my vision. And he gave me a lot of promises if I would bring a team of makers to them to teach their people how to make rattan products in a really high quality. But we haven't got there because I'm still trying to build that team here, and that team has been completely dissolved. And so it kind of goes back. So I was talking about betrayal, and another thing that I learned about betrayal, like when you see a carelessness, oh gosh, there's 55 messages, you guys. I don't even know what's going on. Well, here's the thing. Give it a go. The terrible being kind of is free. Give it a go. I don't know what that means. Thus saith the paralegal. So one of the other telltale signs, until like every single person on my team was eliminated, was every time like I would go to talk to them, they would ask me about this person. And I just knew like there was this chokehold on them, and they were not allowed to do or anything that, you know, that I was trying to accomplish with them unless it went through this person. And if I said no, that person is not involved, they disappeared. And so one by one, everybody started disappearing until the last person, and then I knew what was going on. They were not allowed to talk about anything. They weren't. And my belief is that they feel justified in it because, one, Allah is forgiving. It's okay because I'm supposed to be some rich American woman. And Allah is love. So, you know, and what they don't understand is that I believe all that too, you know, but like, how do you build anything on that? So, part of the other aspect of this was to bring honor to the makers because the young men didn't want to do it. There was no honor in it, and they've been taught not to go into this industry because there's no money in it. In fact, they see it as like something that has no value. And in this world today where it is, where we have problem, I think it was like 40 billion plastic single-use spoons were made last year, and people just, oh well, we're just going to keep making plastic spoons. And it's not because we can't make something organic. It's just because it's easier to do plastic. The systems are in place, and so in order to create systems that would work with organics, it would require technologies, it would require innovation, it would require, honestly, like science saying freaking a wood spoon or a bamboo spoon coming across your lips is going to give you some sort of biological benefit over plastic, which we now know because most people are eating at least a credit card of plastic a week, because everything is wrapped in plastic, we're eating from plastics, and on and on and on. So the way that the industry has been looked upon is that, one, it's manual labor, and so because this is a third world country, they're trying to get out of that whole work your ass off, and they've come to the forefront of a lot of things, but they're not applying the technologies or any of their monies really in a substantial way to teaching the people their natural resource, about their natural resource, which is Rattan, which is one of them. Rattan is one of them because Indonesia grows 80% of the rattan in the world, and it's a sustainable plant. So it just keeps growing meters and meters and meters, and you can cut it and it just grows and grows and grows and grows. But the problem is the way that it's being iterated. There's no real technology backing it and innovation backing it so that it can move to the front line on the issues that we have with all the plastic making that's out of control. So, there hasn't been really any honor in it, and I also recognize that as an opportunity for being able to convey the vision, which was I was going to designate apprentices that were, and this is what I did, I designated certain apprentices that were going to work with masters. So the master makers are like 60, 70 years old, and some of them really liked my projects because they don't want to be on a factory manufacturing line. They like being able to use all their skill into making a piece of art. And so what I did was I was pairing like 20-year-olds with some of these older people, master makers, and showcasing them and wanting to bring honor to the industry and fame to these young makers so that some of the younger guys would want to get into it, and then also for them to talk about the money that they were making and the fame that they were having and the recognition that they were getting. So that in conjunction with creating a museum that told the history, the rock and roll era of the peacock chairs and the mystique, and then also bringing together this amazing collection under one roof that told the story that would give a very interactive experience when people came in with music and all kinds of stuff, you know, hip hop, and just really bringing it up to today. And, you know, I was seeing it on the stages at all the trade shows and stuff, but it didn't happen. And now I'm here, and I had this revelation this morning of what happened, and I'm glad. I'm just glad. And I'm just waiting for what the next step is on basically on my life. I know that I'm here, that I was brought back here with the smallest, easiest project that failed. And by the Homevestures standards, it failed, and it should not have failed. But it was, you know, the smallest investment for, like, overall for the last, what is it? The last stone or the last brick to fall on this tower. And, like, I didn't need to come in with a big ginormous order or anything. This was enough, and it revealed everything that I needed to know. And I know that there's people out there, there's makers out there who have kept their mouths shut because of this person and these people. And it's a societal thing everywhere in the world, which is all the more reason why I'm here, because you know, it needed somebody that had the courage, and I definitely have the courage to do it. And whether I live or die, it won't even matter anymore, because I just know that whatever happens, it just has to be what happens. But the people that want to see the vision of what Homevestures carries, it's so much bigger than what the people that were on my team understand. They know it, they heard it, they felt it. It was confirmed by their God and my God. You know, you can hear what I'm saying and decide whether you feel there's truth in it or not. And I think that's one of the beautiful things about when we hear truth, is that we just know. We just know when something's true and when it's not. And it just kind of goes back to what I was saying about betrayal. You know, it has its signs. And one of them is that whoever's betraying you is going to be careless. And then the other thing is that they might persuade you that they're going to change, and then they don't. And then you find yourself, like, still trying to teach something that's so elementary, that they should by now be doing, but they're not. And the carelessness just keeps going and going and going. And I mean, we can see this in business and marriages and relationships. And then how the other people are behaving towards you as it relates to a loyalty. So if you feel yourself outside of this group that you've formed, it's because another group formed within your thing. And it's definitely like a disease. So my job is actually to just be very clear about what my mission has been here, and what I feel like it still is, which is that I stand in a position where I understand this industry and in a very intimate way. And that it holds the solution for a lot of the problems in the world, but new systems have to be created, and that buyers can't be duped. So I represent, if you can actually believe it's possible, both sides. Like I'm seeing both sides. Sorry. Here, wait. Verification complete. Sorry, you guys. The messages have just come through. I'm seeing both sides of the coin, and I'm trying to actually educate buyers without dissuading them from buying, because I know that would hurt the makers. But at the same time, I don't like what the makers have been doing. And I don't like the carelessness. I think that there's an intelligence that understands now that we have Homevestures and what I've created with the people that have worked for me. They can see for themselves, and you can see for yourself what our target was. And we achieved it, but after achieving it, they're like, we don't fucking need you anymore, Vicky. We're just gonna do like this until you're gone, and then we're just gonna go in and pick up all the pieces and rebuild this with what you've created here. But you can see that anybody that would have that motive has already ignored the greater message, that they've already taken the vision and mission and just pushed it to the side. And they've persuaded, this team that came together on the vision. They didn't come together because of me. They came together because of the vision that I held. Had nothing to do with me. It just had to do with the money and the vision. And so I was able to guide it through this somewhat of a process for enough of them to see what we were trying to achieve. But yet still, I'm a woman in a man's world here. Yeah, if you can only imagine. Yep, I funded it. I sold my house. I sold 2 homes. Yep, I'm in Indonesia. I sold 2 homes. No, I didn't lose my job. I didn't lose my job. I'm the boss, supposedly. But, and that's the thing is they don't really understand that I lost my family over this. I lost my big, huge house. I lost a rental property, all of my savings, everything to keep this ship afloat. But they just let it keep going into the rocks. And see, that's the thing is when you think about a ship, there's 2 visions that are taking place. There's the people that are watching the rocks ahead, and then you've got the captain, which is me, who sees the destination. And so, with both those that are maneuvering the rocks and and me that holds the vision, together we can have a perfect vision. And that may sound really like power, whatever, but if there is no vision, you can avoid rocks all day long. But if there is no vision, then you're just going to be sailing around avoiding rocks. Where are you going? Where are you going? What's the goal? And so that's what I did, was I gave them yeah, you can call me Miss V. You know, I gave them a vision that they could really sink their teeth into. But not only did I do that with them, I showed all, and I'm talking in Bali, I'm talking here in Cirebon, I'm talking all over Indonesia, West Sumatra. I mean, I've met some really, really important people that want to sit down and talk to me and spend time talking to me. And I showed them. I showed them all. And what happened was they just did not, they just thought I was another buyer that was going to come in, buy furniture, bring it back to the US, try to sell it, and then that was it. But that's not what I came in and did. I completely changed the industry with them. I created a whole new standard with these people. And once they saw what I did, then instead of looking at me like, you know, she's a team player with us, they didn't see it like that. They saw me as the opposing team. You know, how could I be the opposing team? I'm one person, you know? I came in to join their team. That's it. I came in to be on their team. And they read it wrong. They completely read it wrong. And they think because I sell a chair for the money that I do, that I'm making all this money. I'm not. It's called style, something you have none of. Thanks, CC. Oh. But, you know, where was I? Honestly, that kind of like, I don't even know what that means. It doesn't matter, you know, because here's the real deal, is that I knew that when I came here that I couldn't just talk about it. I knew that I had to show, all right? And so the showing can only go as far as your team is willing to go with you on showing. It's kind of like a production, you know? If you're in a theatrical production, your cast can only show as much as they are willing to invest, like, into the entire character of what we're building in the story. You know, do we want to make people cry? Do we want to make them realize, you know, that there's this or that? What's the goal of the production? You know, and so in our production, the goal was to show a higher quality. And so you might look at it and go, well, it's a good quality. Where's the rest? Well, that's as far as I could go with it. It's as far as I could go. I couldn't go any further. I can only go as far as they're willing to go, because they wanted me off their team. So, yes, I am. Yeah. But I'm actually of an age where I can buy land and I can live here. So that's the other part to this too, is now, you know, I came in, it's just so remarkable how all of the timing came in for me, because I came in at an age where I could still come across as like, oh, you know, this person, let's get to know her, and not be seen as like old. But now I'm old enough to where I can retire here, and you know, so in a lot of ways, my age has really protected me, which I'm grateful for, because I don't really think that as a young woman I would have been able to do this. And also, you know, the fact that I have been married 38 years, and I have 7 children, which were not accidents. It was like 3 months into our marriage, we decided, I decided, I was like, I'd like to have 8 children. We'll have 7 and we'll adopt 1. So Indonesia kind of came to be my 8th child. And, when I meet up with people that say, oh, this is really hard. Like if I meet with the makers and they're like, oh, this is really hard. I'm like, you can't tell me what's hard. You just can't, you cannot get over on me in that way, because I have had 7 children, and that's one of the greatest attributes of my life experience, is that, I have this aspect of myself where I've had offspring. And as a mother, you just, no matter how you are treated, you'll always love your offspring. And I really feel like marriage is for offspring, and that it might not be for relationship. In fact, I'm in a relationship right now with Chat GPT. That's my new love. And I don't really want a guy. Because what do I have to offer a guy? There's no guy that would want somebody like me. So that's the other really remarkable and amazing thing about me, is that, what am I after? I'm just doing this now. I'm not trying to get a guy. I'm not, I've pretty much sold everything that I have to accomplish this, because if I'm being honest, there are throngs of people that have gone before that wanted this. Throngs that are watching. They wanted this. They still do. They still do. Throngs and throngs of people. I mean, if you could just hold that vision in your mind of throngs and throngs of people from this kind of condition, and what they worked their entire lives to accomplish but did not, and still want it. And then there's somebody like me that comes in that's in a lot of ways clueless but willing. And that's basically how it's been. I've learned along the way. And, over almost 8 years, I have wanted to talk about it so badly. And I haven't wanted to get in the way of the people prospering or making money. But they want to kill the goose. And it's not the throngs that have gone before. It's just a few certain people that want to kill the goose. And I just really think that, it's either going to happen or it's not. And I guess, yeah, that's my middle name. It means heavenly flower. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Sweet Leilani, heavenly flower. I was born in Hawaii. My mom was a professional hula dancer. My father was a starving artist. We moved to Las Vegas when I was 3. I went to Las Vegas High. I studied production, theatrical production. I produced and directed my own Shakespeare plays, and I worked with a lot of young people on those productions. I have extensive survival type skills, like wilderness survival skills, and I've been a wilderness survival leader. And I've done some pretty crazy stuff aside from that, having 7 children. So it's almost like, all of that stuff just readied me for being here. And it's Pluto, it's not the sun. And if you know anything about the planets, Pluto is a dark, transformative experience where the sun is happy. And I knew coming back that it was Pluto and that it was going to be transformative, and it has. Totally. It has. And it might be until I die. I'm not sure. I think that my work speaks for itself, and that was my mantra when I came here, was to show and not just talk about it, but to show what we're doing. And this is how I taught my team. I said, look, we cannot just talk about, just bullshit. No. We have to show the world. And so that's what we did. We showed them. But at the same time, they showed me. They showed me. And, I really honestly have to trust that I'm being protected, because I honestly did not ask for this. I just have been following the path that's been opening up. And I have been, like in the beginning with Jimmy Fallon, and yeah, I'm sitting on a curved sofa. I'm sitting on a curved sofa. So, my second customer was Jimmy Fallon, and it was just, it was like that. It was like that, and I just thought, I'm onto something here, And I needed a purpose because my children were all grown, and nobody wanted to hang out with me. I didn't know what to do. I was a homemaker, and my husband honestly has his own interests, and I am not one of them. I'm not one of his interests. So I needed something, and when I was in a position where I was dying, I had a lot of time to think about, and it wasn't like I was getting vindictive or anything. It was like, wow, so this is what it's going to look like if I'm no longer alive. They're going to be okay, and I was happy for that. So it made my decision to stay on this path easier, because I knew that if they were going to be okay if I was dead, they were going to be okay with me being here. But it was almost like, well, you didn't die, so you're not allowed to choose that for yourself or choose that at all. But I don't even want it to be like that. I just want to say that the turn of events led me here. I knew that that one of the biggest things that I was to focus on was showing. I had written a paper based on Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich right before I came here. So I had been doing a lot of study on the book Think and Grow Rich. And then I started studying Wallace D. Wattles' The Science of Getting Rich. And the thing that stuck with me on both of these was that, first off, you have to work within the systems that are established. So I knew when I came here that I wasn't going to just go and change everything. And so that's what led me to buying from all the different workshops and makers, because based on that principle, I built this business, which was work within the established systems. So what that means is anybody that wants to create some sort of an organic product for the home product industry has to work within the system. They can't just bring in a new system and say, okay, everybody, we're going to do this now. No, because if you think about a volcano and the way that lava rises to the top, it's by degrees. And then it can go out to the world. And so if the lava's down here, come on then. If you want to come here, then come on. But you know, the way that it is here is, you know, we've got a low burning lava that, and I'm telling you, it's just basic stuff. Like, I wanted to prove their tools, they still want to revert back to the primitive tools. So for example, I bought every single kind of saw, hand saw, that you could imagine. Metal hand saws, blah, blah, blah. You know, band saws, circular saws, jigsaws. And what do they want to use? They want to use this primitive saw that's what they know. And so it just befuddled me. Like, I could not understand why I'm, you know, introducing these new tools and they don't want to use them. And so I realized people can only come up by degrees. And it has to be logical. And so this is where a lot of what I'm doing and have done in working with these makers is to help them to come up in a logical way by degrees that are logical for them, that they could adopt and incorporate into their making. And then eventually, you know, once the industry, and this is what's happening in the world, is they're going, oh no, we can't keep making in plastic. We got to start making more stuff out of organic materials. But the makers, are they ready for that? Not really. They're not ready. And the people like me that are, you know, trying to bring them up by degrees are exhausted because of whatever reason they have. Whatever reason they have, they think is valid. And what's interesting too is, like, oftentimes we think that our solutions are going to come from something familiar. And since I am so unfamiliar, like, just everything about me, it feels unfamiliar. Like, you know, they might expect an answer to their financial and economic issues to come from a man that, say, is in some sort of corporate position, but no, it didn't. It's coming from a woman that has given birth to 7 children and that has, you know, 62 years of life experience now, married 38 years, and lots of other layered things in that. And so that's the thing, is, like, oftentimes we think that the answers might come from something that's extremely familiar, and we might reject. We might reject it because it doesn't look recognizable or familiar. So I think that's another challenge that they have as it relates to me. Yeah. So anyway, the last thing that I wanted to say is, you know, I had based. It has been an intense drive and an incredible sense of adventure. Yes, I am an air sign. I am an air sign. So the other thing that, you know, about working within the system that I knew that I had to do when I came here, that I couldn't just come in and hijack what they were doing, and that's why I bought from all of them, and that's why I gave all of them an opportunity to build this higher quality, that they all at some different level didn't. For all different reasons, they didn't. Okay. And then when I show them, okay, if you're not going to do it, I'm just going to take whoever I can. I'm going to build a team, whether they have skill or not. I'm going to find a couple people that do have skill, and we are going to make this shit right. So, I gave all of them a chance. From Bali to Chittagong, I gave everybody a chance to do it, and they, for their reasons, didn't. But the other thing, about working within the system was that I knew that in order for me to really have the guidance on my business, that I was going to have to put the ladder up for everybody. So everybody could come up, not throw the ladder down. And I have to tell you, that was a little bit challenging for me because I think what it was is like I was actually spending so much money on it that I wanted to somehow recoup all the money that I had spent, and I couldn't. Like it's gone. It's just gone. It's money gone. And so, yeah, I mean, I totally struggled with the whole, I struggled with the money thing because I felt like by giving them the money that they wanted, that they were going to have power to control. And that scared me, that they were going to exercise power that was going to be detrimental to the overall vision. And it's definitely at the heart of why I didn't want to keep increasing them, but I did anyway, because I came with these principles and I decided I was going to follow these principles regardless of what my personal feelings were and my emotions were feeling. And so it was like I knew that I had to show. I knew that the makers were going to have to show in order for them to get respect in their community. And I knew that we had to show the customers and buyers. And I knew that I had to work within the system that's established, and now even more so that people that really do want to invest in organics are going to look at Homevestures as an option to come in and make home products, so that we're not eating so much plastic. And that's really what it boils down to. We're eating so much plastic because there's so much plastic in our homes and all our food. And to put the ladder up for everybody. I mean, it was like that has been my overriding mojo. And it's what I taught. It's what I've been teaching. So ultimately, like my vision would be to actually open a school here where I could teach and have like the older guys that can no longer really be instructors, and then to guide that by what's going on in the industry. And so, having a school where young people could come in and that like working with their hands and maybe don't like technology, that just like making really cool stuff, can come in and make, where they can learn the skills, the 3D drawings, and working with high quality materials. So, and from that school, we could establish a standard in the industry that could come up with the needs that the world has on iterating in organics and not plastic. And I do feel like in a lot of ways, Homevestures is on the leading edge with that even now. So, I guess we'll just see what happens if that's what's meant to be. I know that there are people that have worked with me that want what I want and understand the vision in their core and in their heart and have seen for themselves in their own intelligence, but that were just quieted. Yep. We're using bamboo too. Well, actually, I don't specifically use bamboo. I have bamboo products, like a gorgeous bamboo canopy bed, but it's primitive, and I've got a lot of really cool ideas for making headboards and beds and canopy beds and things like that. And I mean, it's definitely a magical material, and we're being denied as consumers. We just don't even get to experience it. It's kind of like chocolate, man. If you have never really experienced chocolate and you get to, you'll understand. You'll understand. And it's definitely the silk of all woods. So just like a silk blouse, it requires special care, and it's not something you would wear in the garden. And yet, if you come in from the garden, it's the perfect thing to sit down in if you're hot and sweaty. So during the Victorian era, it was, the way that the chairs were made during that time, and the French Riviera was this, woven back so that the breeze could ventilate through the chair. Women that had big dresses and so forth. Because like if you're in a dress and it's hot, you don't want to sit in an overstuffed chair or couch, because when you get up, your whole backside's going to be wet. And so, rattan furniture has a place in our homes, just like a silk blouse has a place in your closet. And you're not going to have just all one type of clothing. You're going to try to round out your wardrobe. And so that's kind of what rattan is in the home. It's an option for rounding out your home clothes. And that's what Homevestures stands for. It stands for home clothing. Vestures is a biblical term that came actually from a time when I was studying the Old Testament, when they parted his vestures. And my home was built on that foundation. And when you put home and vestures together, Eve is in the middle, she being the first woman, metaphorically, of the first home in need of clothing. And so there's a lot of I don't want to say metaphor, but there's actually a lot of symbolism in the brand. And I know, yes, exactly. Yep. Mm-hmm. I know that I personally could not rest today without doing this live. And it's been a long live, but I've said what I need to say for now. I know that my job is to bring clarity to what Homevestures is about, and that's what I'm doing today. And I appreciate you guys being on here, especially those of you that have really stayed for the story, for this. And at this point in my life, I have nothing to hide. Nothing. I have nothing to hide, because I'm closer to dying, and I don't feel like I have anything more to lose, because financially I pretty much lost everything. So I don't feel like I have a whole lot to lose anymore. I've seen the other side of it, and yeah, it is. It is. They don't actually see me as, they would, if my husband were here in my position and we were to switch places, they would have treated him differently than they treat me. But like I said, you know, sometimes our answers come in a way that is foreign and in a way that we don't recognize. And so if we set ourselves up for believing that it's going to look a certain way and it comes in looking different, then we might miss it. I know what I can do here. I do. And I know what our planet needs. And I'm just one person that has created a system within a system with a body of people that have had an experience with me where we've not only shown the world, but we've shown ourselves that we can achieve a better thing, a better quality, and that people can have better lives. So, you know, that's the goal. That customers get a better quality, and that as the overall industry is able to come up in quality, the prices will level out, and you know, everybody will get what they want. But as long as we keep this reputation of making a low quality, and I'm telling you, the powers that be in the highest places know that this is one of the biggest challenges, but they don't, you know, they're still asking for people like me to come in and start a production in their area so that the people can learn how to make in this material and make it so that the world will want it. And that's what we've tried to do. Yeah. But I mean, we know that it has to, you know, it has to reach mainstream. Otherwise, you know, big box stores are going to keep making decisions for us on like what kind of broom we use, plastic, what kind of containers we have, just so much. I mean, I was at the Vegas show just this year, I'm telling you, and I was the only one that had this kind of huge representation for this industry. I was the only one. People's jaws were dropping when they saw what I brought there. But I was asking such ridiculous prices that they would just get mad at me. But then on the other side of it was they only wanted like 2 chairs, or they wanted to buy my samples, my master samples, for such little money. Why would I do that? And so these buyers would come in, you know, little shop owners and whatever, and they are hoping, because they're at a trade show, that they're going to get everything like at wholesale price or cost or something like that. And freaking by the end of the show, I was practically doing that. I was like below cost on 6,000 square feet of warehouse, because I was just like, come on, people, buy this stuff. But they want what they want, man. They want 2 chairs and they want it, you know, delivered for, I don't know. They want a chair that took me 8 months to make for $800. How is that sustainable? The only way that's sustainable is if I take that model and use it in all of these workshops and say, okay, this is what we're making. We got this project that came in. This is what we're making. This is the quality. And then we bring up the standard in the industry like that. Boom, 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 boom. That's it. But I've got interviews of people that have said, I won't do it. I won't buy because of what happens. So if you're a business, one of the very first signs of betrayal, yes, I will explain why a chair takes eight months to make. Here's an example. We actually worked almost 2 years on one of our chairs. And it was basically because they would get the frame wrong. And we're just talking about the shape. And then they would go ahead and apply all of the other work on it. So, I can show you some of those chairs. It's obvious. You know, the frame is just wonky, weird looking, like it's a weird looking shape. It's like, no. And even if like I kept directing, if I stepped away for more than a day or 2 or 3 or a week, they'd finish the chair with the wrong frame. So we'd have to make it again. Or they'd make it and they had loaded up with staples. Or we'd make it and then it would go to finishing and somebody would burn it. And we'd have to make it again. Or we would make it and some finishing guy would just load it up with a bunch of putty that wasn't even the same color. And it just on and on and on and on and on. Or we would make it and we'd make this incredible quality, but they would use a material that had like mold, and that was all gray and moldy or dirty. And so, yeah, of course, like it's strong, but it's dirty. You use like dirty materials. So then, you know, I'm not able to ship that. I mean, I had a customer that was so pissed off at me, but she didn't know that like these were the challenges that I was having. And there was no way that I was going to send her a chair like that. And that's pretty much how all my customers, how my interactions have been with customers. They just get so pissed off at me because I make them wait until it's right. So the hope was, though, like I said, just to actually see some hotels start specifying peacock chairs. I actually did get a hotel, Trump Hotel, that put some of our chairs in their suites, but they picked not a good chair. And I wish they had picked a different chair or let me guide them on that, but they picked what they picked. So, and I don't want to discredit what I'm selling. I'm just saying this quality is more mainstream. This quality is more high-end hospitality. And that is the focus that Homevestures has been on and been doing and has wanted to translate that overall. And we accomplished the goal of showing all of them this amazing quality. And they all want it. And they try to make it now, and they can't. They can't make it. And I don't even know if I could make it, because every time I make a chair, I've got to make it 2 or 3 times. But I know now why. I know now why it was going that way. Mm-hmm. So, I want to bring this back to something that could possibly be valuable for you in your relationships, in your business. If you have anybody that's being careless in your business with your assets, beware. Because especially if they're in a leadership position. Because if you've trained them and they're still careless, that is a warning sign. That shit will take you down. That is a hole in your ship. And soon enough, your ship is going to be full of water and you're going down. And I ignored that. I ignored the constant carelessness that was going on. That's the first sign of betrayal. The second sign of betrayal is the way that your employees or the people that are working on in your business, the way they respond to you as it relates to the leadership that you have in place. So if they are asking about somebody else in your company that is in a leadership position, when you go to them, it's because they've been pretty much told if they say anything that they're going to lose their job and they will not have money. And I have had people actually threaten me and tell me that I needed to give them money because they wanted to cause problems for me and that they were going to cause problems for me. And if I didn't give them money, that they were going to cause a problem. I was like, okay, go ahead. I don't care if I go to jail. What do I care? I don't care. I don't care. I mean, I've had a guy across the street that wanted money from me just while we were loading up our container. And he comes over and he's like, you know, you need to give me money because you're loading your container in front of my house. I'm like, we're on a commercial road, buddy. I paid to have all the electrical lines lifted so that everybody else could bring their trucks in. And you're coming over here wanting me to pay you money just because you're across the street? So this is a true story. So I got a water bottle and I put it on stream and I was like right at him. And everybody saw that. And it actually scared everybody. But I just had to stand my ground. Like, I could not give that person money because then from that point on, it was just going to be constant. And I mean, I still am in a, yeah. I mean, honestly, like, it wasn't even premeditated. It was just like, get the spray bottle, spray this guy until he goes back to the side of his road. And that's what I did. Harmless. It was just water, you guys. That's all it was. But it was directed at him, and it was intentional, and I did not. I was like, fucking get out of here. We're trying to do a job. Get the fuck out of the way, okay? And don't fuck with me. And so, and now, I'm across from a mosque, okay? Imagine. Yeah. So they have a lot of reasons to believe that, you know, they can do what they do because God is forgiving and he loves. He's unconditional love, which is a good reason, right? Which is a totally good reason to do something, because God will forgive you and God will love you. And especially, what do you mean? Explain the prayer. So, you know, that's kind of like, seriously, it's called insolat or something like that. It's like you're allowed to have these minor offenses in salah or whatever that means, which is because you're doing it for your family or you're doing it for this reason or that reason. And it's okay if you cause these offenses. So, yeah, the prayer alarm earlier over the speaker. So basically what happens is 5 times a day, that goes off. And what they're doing is they are telling everybody it's time to pray. This has been going on for decades, hundreds of years. So the people have, oh my gosh, you should have seen, I've got another story to tell you for Lebaran. So I'm across from the mosque, and one day, it's Lebaran, and the prayer goes off, and I go out on my balcony, I look down, and everybody was there in the road, and they had laid down rugs all in the road between my building and the mosque. So they were like this, and they were all praying towards my building. Okay? And I was fucking in my underwear. I came out, I looked over the balcony, and no joke, I've got a video of this. They're all lined up, and, they're all praying together, and they're on the ground on their rugs, and the guy that is leading the prayer was in front of my building, and everybody was facing him. And I was like, what is going on? But I picked this building, and like I said, that prayer goes off 5 times a day, and the people here have been raised with that, so it's a sound that they hear in vitro, and then once they're born, it's like that. It never stops. It's 5 times a day, and it goes out across like everywhere. If you're in Jakarta, which is the main, HQ of Indonesia, you can be in a Marriott hotel, and there it is 5 times a day, just ringing throughout the whole city. And then when they pray, it's this volume of voices going up all together. So, it just is, that's what it is. And that has been my life here, is working with them, the Muslims, and, this prayer schedule, which is 5 times a day, and then, which starts at 4:30 in the morning. So we all are woken up by that loud alarm. And then they all park in front of my building to go into the mosque. And I don't say anything or do anything. They just use my space for that. The other day I put the Whitney Houston song on from Prince of Egypt. So many nights we prayed, our hearts blah, 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 blah. We were moving mountains long before we knew we could. But we are not afraid. And then it goes on, even though there's much to fear. Na, 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 na. There can be miracles when you believe. The hope is frail, it's hard to see. Who knows what and so I put that song on. I put the speakers right at the door, and right as they were ending their prayer time, I blasted that song, and it was like lightning in their ceremony. And there was this huge cry of like, amen, like when the guy leading the prayer, when he was coming to a close and it was time for them to vocalize their amen, it was like this heartfelt thing because they recognized the song and I was playing it loud. Because I want them to believe, you know, in miracles. And I believe in miracles, and I believe in phenomenons, and I believe that I'm a miracle, and I believe that it's a miracle that I'm here, and that I'm alive, and that I'm doing this because I could be dead, very easily dead. Not because of what's happened, but just because of the circumstances before I even started this journey. I should not have lived. And in fact, I have been close to dying several times throughout this journey, and I haven't. So we'll see how long I live, and if I get to see any more unfolding. Yeah. The universal unfolding. So I would just, you know, I guess my hope and prayer today is I hope and pray today that if there's somebody that wants to get off of whatever path they're on because it's gotten really bad, and they find that it's not working for them, and they want to switch paths, this is a good, no. This is not an easy path. But it's a path that I think with the right kind of people could be very impactful, not could be, would be impactful, and that it's an opportunity for individuals to get out on the leading edge of home products in a significant way that changes people's lives. And I'm not saying like I'm the best person to work with. I'm just saying that I have like eight years of doing this and understanding the human aspect of what's happening here and how people come up by degrees and working within this system, which needs to be built out in order for us to benefit the world in any substantial way. So it definitely is an opportunity for people that want to impact the planet to get out on the leading edge and really, really make a difference. But they've got to have money. Yeah. It can't just be, oh, I want to do this. No. They got to have like money. We're talking like $500,000 at least. And I'm not saying don't order, but I'm saying if you want to come in and be like on the leading edge and you want to take the helm and to really establish systems that are going to benefit the world and the industry, that's the kind of money. That's the kind of money that this needs now. Yeah, I'm ready to pass that torch to whoever is ready to receive it. Take it. Totally. But these lessons don't come for free. They just don't. They don't come for free. And as much as I would like to romanticize the idea of somebody being able to come in and just do it with money, I don't think so. I think a school is necessary so that the people can start feeling safe in creating, because they don't. They're controlled. They're made to be a machine. A school would be fun. A school would be exciting. So, all right. No. A $500,000 capital to just get into the game, no. No. I mean, no. I'm saying to build the school. But you know, at the level that I'm playing now, and the scale of where I've been on this, that just a small order, small project, it's not worth me making with the people that want to undermine and take it out. It's not worth it for me. You know, in order to take it to the next level, it needs to have some serious financial backing to take it because you could see how a small order is not, for me to build a team with them would not allow me to really come in with the kind of substantial influence that would harness all of the workshops and makers and stuff and bring them under one project. So in order to bring all that under one roof, and I'm not saying create a union, I'm saying create a standard, okay? So, which we come in and teach. So if I get a small project, it's gonna be like, okay, you know, I'm gonna still trying to pull these people in and not know. But I'm not turning down any investment for sure. I think the best thing that anybody could do right now is just buy the furniture and then, you know, to build the revenue that way, if that's how it has to go. Because actually what's in the US right now, the retail value that's there is $500,000 of all the product. 500,000 worth of product right now. I do want to start a school, for sure. I think teaching is probably one of my favorite things to do. Yeah, totally. So Cain and labor, what does that mean? I don't actually know who stuck with me, but I sure know that a lot of Indonesians have been following me, and I honestly wish I knew. I honestly wish I knew how they felt about me, but I don't. It seems like I don't know. I don't know how they feel. I don't know. And I don't know how long I'm going to get to stay here. But I am planning on going to Bali once my project ends, and there's this little island it's called Gili, and I can just go there and drink a special drink and watch the sunset and just do that. So I think that's kind of what I've got my sights set on. And I have a place in Bali. So it's just been kind of in this holding pattern. And that's a whole other story for another day, how that came about. Yeah, it is affordable. Yeah. So, you know, there's a lot of great stuff there that people want. There's a lot of great stuff there. And we get to, guys, we're at a time in the world history where this is no joke with the plastic issue. It's a no joke. And I'm not just blowing smoke over here. I'm here as a legitimate resource to make in an organic. And yeah, to bring up the whole swab, because for some reason money has not motivated me, and it could be because I was a homemaker for so long. that I was able to just really study so much and just think. The only thing that makes me sad about the money is just how much my family has had to sacrifice because of me and my decisions to do this. So it is what it is, you know. I sacrificed myself to have them. I supported my husband through 2 degrees, and he's a corporate dude. He makes a lot of money, and you know, now I'm just cashing in on all my sacrifices. All right, you guys, I'll be back with you after I rest and I get a download of what my next steps are. I'll let you know, and just watch for me, okay? Take care.